Well, it looks like silver's taking a major hit today, laying down, and palladium, big time. After yesterday, I'm talking them up a little bit, but not exactly. I stated yesterday I don't think silver was going to go below 30. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think, and where I think I'm a little scared of holding on to silver and stuff later on. Not right now. This is what I think is going to play out. The pullback, like the big guys are talking about, Mark Faber, Jim Rogers. Yeah, so it hits way up there over 35, and it's going to go down and bounce sometime in the 30s and take off again. I'm thinking the election's going to actually do some of this, and some of this could possibly be even due to shenanigans going on to bring down Obama. Who knows? Who knows? Now, I know on the surface there's also more problems going on with Spain, and the New York Times, I won't display the article, but I read it. They're talking about it's possible that the euro could fall through the thin ice. I don't think so, though. And you got to look at the overall scheme of things. Just like I was talking about with Joel Skorsen about that story that was a plant from Germany putting out Deutschmarks and getting rid of the euro. That was a plant. The euro is not going to fall apart. There may be a lot of problems with it, but it ain't going away. Come hell or high water, and to keep it afloat. So, looking today, yeah, everything's, they'll call it the bloodbath, but, if you're not selling, it's not a bloodbath. That's the way I look at it, and you're not in leverage. Now, the only thing I'm in leverage on is oil, double leverage, not triple. And part of that was from the LW prediction about oil will go up like a rocket sometime in 2012. Yeah. Anyway, got 2 more months, buddy. Anyway, as far as what I think is going to play out, though, here is that I think you're going to get a major fake out. It's like silver's probably going to rise a lot by the end. It's going to start rising, I think, as soon as the election's over with, and I think Romney wins, and things are going to start taking off. Where I'm a little scared of being in silver, and if it's up quite a bit, say in early 2013, February 2013 is really when that fiscal cliff comes in about, where they start making the cuts, and they can extend some of that stuff over to April 2013. Then the cuts are in. The only metal I could see that could really go up during that time, and I think will go up a hell of a lot during that time, is gold. Gold. Because the dollar's probably going to get downgraded some more. And Moody's actually downgraded some more debt ratings with Spain. That's another thing that's causing turmoil in the markets. But I'm going to tell you one good sign, because I know everybody's kind of fixated on metals, but when you start seeing the Dow dropping like 240 points, and it was up to 13,600, now it's down to 13,100. That they're never concerned about silver or things like that. They're concerned about the general equities. So when you're seeing everything pulling back like this, there's going to be some action by someplace to bring it back the other way. And there's always news. You always see this, though. It's typical. Really rotten news. It's like the weather. The rain comes flying in, and all of a sudden you got a bright sunny day, and the markets turn around. I think the markets are going to turn around in the short term. That's my hunch on this. Where I'm nervous about holding silver is if it's February to April 2013. And you got to remember, Mark Faber, Jim Rogers have been talking about the major fiscal cliff, and that 2013 is going to be a horrible year. So that was my whole thing. I wasn't sure if silver's going way to hell up in the short term, but if it did, damn, I'd be selling physical also, 55, 60, that type of stuff. Now, right now, you're thinking that's crazy. And actually, it is crazy to think it's going to hit $50 by the end of the year. But it may very well surprise you. And you'll see these guys come out of the woodwork like the usual bullshit. God, but you know what I mean. The usual stuff when they come out of the works. And they're going to be talking it up, going up to 90 or some garbage if it did start taking off. It went over 40 by the end of the year. But, I would be thinking fiscal cliff, baby. And the only thing I can see that's going up is going to be gold. Now, this is just a GLD, roughly follows the gold price. Gold is not going to have a reset down to like 1,500. I doubt that. I see as really impossible because gold is money. You know, that gold really is money. Silver really isn't money. It kind of used to be money before, but gold is money. So with all the problems coming up with the currencies, euro and the dollar and the fiscal cliff coming up, do you think gold is going to go down to like $1,200? Hell no, and especially with QE in place. I'd almost say that'd be lunacy. That would be lunacy. There could be some wide fluctuations in silver, and like I stated before, palladium is actually more a volatile animal than silver, and it's a much smaller market, and it can move a lot harder directions at various times. But at one point in time, it may even do something crazy like it did in 2001. What happened in 2001 with palladium? It went to 4 times the price of gold. You know, and everybody's bullish on gold. So like I said, it's more of a long-term hold, but don't be afraid to sell it when it gets crazy gains. It's just like anything. Don't be afraid to sell it when it gets crazy gains. This is where these other guys, I think, I don't know if they're deliberately misleading you or whatever they're doing. In some cases, I think it's true that it's deliberate. In some cases, I think it's not true, that they're just not really grasping the situation. But as I stated before, the dollar is not going to go to toast right away. Even in 2013, after the fiscal cliff hits and all this stuff, it's not going to go to toast even in 2013. It's going to be around. It may be worth less than it was, but it's not going to toast. Now, where I think the metals are really going to take off very hard is war. But, you know, you're not going to be able to have it. Let's look at the weather situation or the climate situation. It's pretty much a given. They are not going to attack Iran in December, like around the wintertime, or January or February. It might be maybe March or sometime more like later. The more ideal time would be in the springtime. So if an attack on Iran doesn't happen very soon, it's probably going to be put off till at least March. It has to happen within the next month probably, right? Maybe to early December. That's their window of opportunity, you know, by climate. So I want to put out that little factoid because the attack on Iran is what's going to really drive up gold, tensions, uncertainty, drive up oil, and then watch what happens to silver. And when those oil goes in a hard bull run, it's like an axiom postulate, basic principle. That's when silver usually starts taking off hard. And when you have oil and gold going up together due to tensions in the Middle East, that's where you're going to see it. It's anybody's guess when that's going to happen. It could have happened already. You know, that was my assumption. It was going to happen in the spring of 2012. Nah. So obviously that was a big no. But I still think silver might fake you out for the end of the year. It's just that in this fiscal cliff coming up, you know, that's why I'd be selling parts of it. If, you know, if it does go up really good in the next, you know, it fakes you out, it has this pullback here. It's dropping down like a son of a bitch, you know. It's dropping down here like, you know, look at palladium's down 5% today. That's a hell of a move. But what happens is when it bounces, they bounce. But like I stated, when you're seeing the Dow down, the S&P down, and everything else is down, including the markets in Europe, you know, they're not displayed on his Kiko site. The markets in Europe are down, and that's due to problems with Spain. You can very well see more announcements about easing, you know, easy money policy. That's going to bring up the metals again. So that may turn the thing. They could turn it around just as quick as it was turned around from August to September. And you remember, how was the mood in, say, the end of July? Pretty dismal, wasn't it? Pretty dismal. It's almost like you got a constant fluctuation in your mood. And this is like the psychological game that goes on with anything. So I don't think silver's going to crash down to, you know, 26 and all this kind of garbage. I don't even think it's getting below 30. The problem is if it goes below 30, it could go a hell of a lot lower, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It's still got quite a bit of room to move, and when we see the election in car, you probably see some other announcements out there. A lot of stuff that goes on in markets is 100% psychology. It's like they can't even look at what's going on. Like for instance, in South Africa, you got people that were striking against armed guards with machine guns that killed them. Then they had something happened where everything was fine again. They're back to work, right? Then you had 12,000 more strikers go on strike, and then the company fired them. It's like, what does it take to get that stuff out of the ground, like palladium and platinum? And like, what's really going on? It's like this. I mean, you can make something cheap. I mean, you can make Goldman Sachs run real cheap too. Just get a bunch of MBAs from Harvard, chain them up in a dungeon or something like that. Feed them food and electroshock them when they don't work hard enough. That's basically what the hell they're doing with miners too. So, I mean, if you get a bunch of freaking people to work for nothing, I guess the products become cheaper. So that's not really a solution in my book. But that's really why some of these things are so low with the commodities. They're basically working these people like a bunch of slaves. That's what they're doing. And, that's really what's going on throughout the whole world. It's, controlled by the fiat bastards on the top. So, what you really got to do to these guys is like say no to them in every situation there is. And this is another reason I am on a camp with the silver and physical silver. Don't cooperate with these bastards because they need your capital in their banks to make things work. And if it's toilet paper and it's money toilet paper as they just print it out and it's all based upon debt, you really could break them. There's no bullshit about that, but it's going to take a lot of hardcore work. In other words, the only way to really break the banksters is you have to be 110% independent yourself and not really need money. There's not too many people that could say that. I'm actually pretty close to that. So, but I've been working on it for a number of years. I'm very smart about that. And, for instance, like, say silver became, $75 an ounce and you sold yourself some silver. If you go out there and you blow that money on lunch and having a party and all this other bullshit, you lost. That's the way I look at it. You're already lost. And this is really why the middle class loses anyway, because anytime they get a hold of any kind of like real capital wealth, they piss it away on garbage. And it's like you could spend it, but make sure it's on hard, durable goods that will give you more life and function for many more years. That's really what you got to be looking at. But the average person doesn't do that. It's fluff and entertainment. So that's really how they get in these situations more than anything. But what I do expect for the end of the year, I don't know, I'm sticking my neck out on this, and I'm not really showing a technical way, but I'm really saying a psychological way, is that you're going to see a spring back in the metals. Where I'm worried is with silver, and things like that, industrial metals especially, is that time period when the fiscal cliff hits in February to April 2013. I don't know what the hell's going to happen then. I think the only metal to have then would be gold, and that's going to go up. Now, like I said, gold going down 1,100. Jim Rogers, I know he even stated something like that at one time. You're going to be holding your breath a long time for that crap. That ain't going to happen. Even as far as silver dropping down at some crazy rate like that, as long as we're seeing a crash in the markets like this of, 240 points in a Dow, that's a couple percent. And, we look at what silver went down as a couple percent. So, if silver went down like, 20%, that would bring it down to 26. But if the markets went down 20%, all hell would break loose. And there would be QE announced. I don't know what they would do. they would probably print so much damn money, silver would probably go up to $100 for all I know. So I'm not worried about it. You know, as long as the markets are tanking along with the metals, the guys on the top get worried. But you know, they may be tanking these markets a little bit too because they don't want Obama in office. That's what I'm seeing. You know, so when Romney gets in, I'm not for Romney. You know, I'm not voting for either Obama or Romney. But when Romney gets in, you might see a major turnaround in the markets, and it's going to may surprise the crap out of people, and you might see silver go up to some really lofty height in real fast order. But when that fiscal cliff hits, and, you know, I'm not trusting it then, and I don't think any of the silver bloggers are mentioning about the silver cliff coming up in, say, February to April of 2013. Now, the only other winger that can come in there is if they start having a war with Iran. So, you know, that's going to be very bullish for the commodities. So, in short, I think we might see a fake out here. We might see the metals actually I still say they're going to finish out the year pretty damn strong.